Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what happened to me about 6-7 months ago. But anyway, I hope you guys like this a little chit chat, get to know me a little bit better. If you like, subscribe, leave me a comment down below, and give me some suggestions of what you would like to see next. And let's just go ahead and look at the room behind me. Obviously, you know, I'm not where I normally am when I record, but I'm inside right now because the studio outside where I normally record is really, really hot right now, and I just don't feel like dying from the heat because here where I'm at, the heat index today got up to like 102, 103. So it was really, really hot. And the air conditioner out there in my little studio room where I record is not the best. So, and I don't leave it on all the time. So when I just want to film or something, then I have to go out there hours in advance to film. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about some stuff that has went on in my personal life and let you know why I've been absent a couple of months here recently, why I haven't been on recording. But anyway, a little bit of backstory about it is 8 months, about 8-9 months previous, before I had brain surgery twice in December around Christmas last year, I started feeling really sick. I was having awful ear infections. So I finally broke down and went to the specialist, and which is an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat doctor. But anyway, I broke down and wound up going to them and seeing them, and they said, hey, you got this really bad ear infection. Let's give you some antibiotics and some ear drops and come back and see us, you know, in a couple weeks, and we'll go from there. Well, I went back in a couple of weeks, obviously, after I'd finished my medicine, my eardrops and different things. And when I went back, they said, you know, your ear's looking really good. You know, it's clearing up good. So we're just going to do another round of antibiotics, and hopefully that'll take care of the rest of it. But mind you, my entire life from childhood, I've always had very severe ear infections, to the point my dad would always kid and say that I needed a 50-gallon drum of amoxicillin with me, just because I was always sick with ear infections and, you know, different things. But for about 8 months, I kept going back to the doctor. I kept going back to the specialist, and they just kept telling me that, you know, oh, it's an ear infection. It's just being really stubborn, this, that, and the other. So for 8 months of fighting this, you know, it got to the point where the infection was so bad that this side of my face, which is my right side of my face, your left, it would continuously hurt, and it would droop real bad, like pull down, and almost, you know, act like if I had had a bad stroke. And it would get to the point where I couldn't talk. I would slur my words almost like I was intoxicated, or, you know, I would lose vision out of my eye. I would have no hearing and everything. And it got to the point, it got so scary that I went back to my doctor and I said, look, I am not leaving your office until you do something. Something is severely wrong with me, and I am not okay just continuing month after month after month after month of antibiotics, ear drops, whatever they wanted to do. I was not going to tolerate that anymore. And I felt that as a mom and a wife, and, you know, having to raise my kids and do things like that, that it was very important that I stood up for myself and wanted to know answers. So when I did that, my doctor scheduled me for a CT scan. So they went in and did a CT scan of my head, my brain, my ear, everything that was causing issues. And they actually found out that the jugular vein on the right side of my body, in my neck, was 4 times larger than the left side. They also found out that, with my ear and stuff, the ear infection had ate away so much of my bones and my hearing bones in my ear and different things, that they were just so much smaller on that side than they were on the left side. And my doctor finally said, okay, this is enough. So when they got the results of the CT scan, they wanted to go more in depth. So my doctor said, okay, we're scheduling you for an MRI. Now, an MRI sees things like ligaments, fluid, brain functions, brain stem. I mean, it shows absolutely everything that X-ray and CT scan doesn't show. And a CT scan is a lot longer than CT scans, X-ray, things like that. My CT scan wound up being 2 hours long, and I was so terrified. I was so scared. They had this thing that literally came within like 2 centimeters of my face, and I literally felt like I was being held down. It sounded like an awful just thud, 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 like right in my ears. I was hyperventilating. I was having a bad anxiety attack. Like, I do not do good in tight spaces, but I'm glad that I did, because when my doctor got the results of those, he said, okay, no more, no playing around. We're getting you in for surgery. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong? And he's like, you have what's known as mastoiditis, which in mastoiditis, you guys, I'll show you here in this ear, you have a mastoid bone in your ear, and the mastoid bone actually falls right here behind your ear, like up into this area. So anyway, I had a really bad infection in that mastoid bone, and if you don't get that taken care of right away, you can actually become paralyzed. It can go to your brain. It could kill you. It's really bad. So the doctor said, we're going to go in there, we're going to take care of it, and you should be good to go. The surgery is going to last about 4 hours, and you'll be good to go. You'll feel a lot much better. Yeah, you'll be in pain because we're going to go in and drill out some bone and get all that infection out. And you should feel much better from the pressure, and you shouldn't have any more, face drooping or slurred speech or losing your vision or anything like that. But not so fast. So the day comes for my surgery, which was December the 13th of last year, and I had become so very sick that I had gained up to 272 pounds. You guys, I was almost 300 pounds. And if you know me, anything about me or anything, I never let myself get like that. I always try to take care of myself, not just for the way that I look, but because I have had health problems in the past, which we'll go into another video later, and because I am a 2-time cancer survivor, and I just try to eat healthy, not necessarily because of the way I look, but I try to maintain myself to be healthy because I know that I've been sick in the past, and my health is very important to me so that I can be around for my girls. But anyway, when I went in the day for the surgery, he said, this is going to be 4 hours. You're going to be in and out. You're going to spend a couple days in the hospital, spend the night in the hospital, and you'll go back home. So I went into surgery. Everything started fine. And about 6 hours into my surgery, my husband walks up to the lady that's sitting at this desk, and he says, hey, my wife's been in surgery over 2 hours longer than what they said. Can you tell me what's going on? And so the little nurse lady there sitting at the desk called back, and they said, hey, everything's going fine. There's a little bit more that they had to find. They're taking their time, because there was a nerve that ran in my face that went right up through my ear. Right, it runs up your neck and then branches off into your face and then up into your ear and into the back of your brain. So, and it was so small and the infection was so close to it that they had to be very, very careful for the nerve. And there's also a main artery that runs through there. And if they would have fractured that or nicked that or severed that, I would have bled to death initially. So they were really taking their time. And so about 6.5, 7 hours I would say about 7 hours into the surgery, about an hour after my husband went and asked, what was taking so long, the doctor finally came out, and his first words to my husband was, that was a bloody mess. And my husband's like, what are you kidding me? Like, what's going on with my wife? What's happening? And he said, that is the most blood I've ever seen from a surgery like this in my entire life. So, but the doctor reassured my husband I was doing well. I was recovering well. I was in recovery. They were, initially going to send me home because I had done actually so well, but because I was in so much pain and there was so much blood and I was still so dizzy and everything, they decided to go ahead and keep me the extra night like they thought they were going to do in the first place. So I stayed that night. I went home the next morning, and by that evening, you guys, I was in so much pain. I couldn't turn my head from left to right. I couldn't think. I couldn't see. Like, I was breathing heavy. Like, I was hallucinating things and seeing things that wasn't there. It was really bad. So my husband wound up calling 911 because I kept passing out. Like, I was going unconscious. And so he calls 911. They rushed me back to the hospital, and they immediately admit me. And they started doing spinal taps, gaining spinal fluid from my spine to find out if I had bacterial meningitis. All those things came back negative. All the tests they ran came back negative. They had no idea what was wrong with me, but they did know there was some type of infection still in there somewhere, in my body somewhere. So they wound up admitting me, for days and days and days and days, and they kept, testing me for different things and finding out what was wrong, and everything came back negative. They tested me for MRSA and staph, and just different things, and everything came back negative. So what they did was they decided to insert what's called a PICC line. It's a PICC. It's a central line that goes right here in the main artery of your arm, through your shoulder, and down to the center vessel in your heart. Which anybody that's been on long-term medications, antibiotics, different things, it's always better to do that, because if you don't, you have to change a normal IV that's only about this long, about 2.5, 3 inches long, every 3 days. And that's a lot of sticking that tears up your veins, which just causes, hardened veins, and it's just a mess. So they went and put that in, and it took forever. It literally felt like somebody was killing me when they were doing it. They numbed it the best they could, but they would not put me to sleep for that or anything. So they did, and they just kept giving me all different kind of antibiotics, and nothing seemed to touch it. So the next day, after they were doing the next 2 days, after they did all these testing, they couldn't find out what was wrong or anything like that. The doctor finally came in and said, let me see. My face, at this point, my face had swelled up so bad, and if I still have the pictures, I'll show you guys, but my face had swelled up so bad that it looked like I had literally been stung by 300 bees in my face. My doctor came and tried to pry my eye open like that, and it was so swollen that he couldn't even pry it open. Like my eyelashes, the swelling was so bad that the swelling covered my eyelashes and then rolled under and started swelling back internally. And he said, no, you have to have emergency surgery. Something is going terribly wrong. So he walked over and he pushes behind my ear, and literally it, like, the infection and pus and everything shot across the room. And he's like, nope, you're going in emergency surgery right now. As soon as we can get a table available, an operating room table available for you, we're in surgery. So at like 4 o'clock in the morning, he comes in and he gets me and he says, we're going to surgery like right now. Like, they had me knocked out because of the infection and the pain and things. I was just so disoriented. I was so tired of fighting. Like, it was to the point where the doctors couldn't figure out where the infection was coming from. The doctors couldn't, decide anything. I was so sick. So the doctors actually told my husband to basically prepare himself for the worst. And I'm going to get a little emotional because I actually woke up enough to call both of my children and let them know that Mommy was going to have surgery again, and that if anything ever happened to me, for them to always know that I always would love them and that I would come and visit them and come and see them, and make sure that they were okay, and to always know that no matter what, Mommy always loved them and never forget that, and that Jesus always loved them, and that they'll see me again one day. And I broke down and I started crying, and they're like, they were just so young and so innocent. They were 3 and 5 at the time, and they really didn't understand what was going on, but I knew, and, we were all upset. We were just praying that I made it through it. And that was literally all the time I had. They came, they rushed me away and did another surgery. So when they went back in, they literally had to insert 2 drain ports to let the infection drain out. They went in and cleaned some of the infection back out. They put the 2 drain ports in so that it wouldn't continue to build. It would just pour out. So they had my head wrapped up in this big thing and was catching the stuff. And just day after day after day, like, it was a fighting battle. Like, I literally thought I was going to die. And each day for me in the hospital, in ICU, was another, like, celebration day. Like, okay, this infection didn't kill me. But when they went back in, the infection had gotten so bad that quick that the infection literally ate my skull away so bad that it was exposing a part of my actual brain. So they had to go in and do some cartilage implants to cover that up, because it's not good to leave, your brain exposed. Your skull is what protects your brain. And if you don't have your brain, you're not going to live. So the infection actually ate the base of my skull out and exposed my brain. So like I said, they had to do that cartilage implant. Everything was so bad. It happened so quick. But I came out of surgery, and my husband was crying. I was crying. Like, I was literally so happy that I just made it through. Like, I was praying, God, I still have kids to take care of, and everything. And so with all that happened, I was so excited. I was praising God. My husband was praising God. My in-laws, we were just so ecstatic that I made it through it. I called my kids, said, hey, mommy's out of surgery. I love you. I'll see you in a couple of days. They would come up and see me. They would actually roll me out so that I could see my kids, because they wasn't allowed to come in there because I was so sick and I was immune compromised, and any little thing like a cold or the flu or anything would have literally killed me. Like, I was immune compromised. So the nurses, the doctors, everybody would be in full blown bodysuits and masks, and it was crazy. So finally, I got my test results back from the actual second surgery, and what had happened is there was a MRSA infection actually in the bone marrow of my bone, which means I didn't actually have MRSA. I couldn't give it to anybody. I didn't catch it from anybody. It's kind of like staph infection. Everybody has it on their skin. So I'm not a carrier of MRSA. I can't give MRSA to anybody. I have no MRSA. It's nothing. Like, it was actually just in the bone marrow. So I kept getting better, and I kept, doing better, and I kept responding really well to the antibiotics and everything. So they sent me home. They sent me home just a few days shy of Christmas, so I still had time to spend with my kids on Christmas morning, even though that I was so tired and worn out and just hurting, and it was just so good to be home and be with my family for Christmas and not have to spend it, still in the hospital in ICU. So I still got to see my kids open their presents on Christmas morning and, just have fun and be thankful, that God spared me that time, to be with my kids. Because even though I came home, I was still not promised the next day or the next day or the next day. Because you remember that line I talked to you about that I had right here in my arm? I still had that, and I was going to have that for about 7 weeks. And they actually sent medications to my home that I would actually hook up and give myself 4 infusions every day to keep myself alive, and they would send nurses to my house every single day to take care of me, and it was absolutely a wild ride. But after this, about 2 weeks shy of me being done with my infusions and being so excited, it was one day closer to getting this PICC line out of my arm. The PICC line actually got caught on a chair and ripped out a little bit, and you can't actually push that back in because you have to insert a PICC line under ultrasound and things, because it is, if you miss the littlest thing or you miss the heart, you're going to die. So I actually wound up having to go back to the hospital, and they were just going to reinsert a new one, but I wound up having bad blood clots from it and was admitted for another 3 days. So, and we were scared that with my, being sick and still trying to recover and different things that, that we just knew that this was going to be bad. Like, if these blood clots would have went to my lungs or my heart or my brain, I'd have been done for it. I would have passed away. So it was just another fighting battle of praying and just working and trying to get up and walk and do whatever I could to get these blood clots broken up. They had me on blood thinners. They were giving me 6 shots every day in my stomach to get these blood clots to go away. It was just an awful nightmare. So fast forward from that to now. It's now been, June, July. It's been 7 months since I had the surgery, and I've lost 70 pounds 70 pounds since surgery. Exactly, 71 pounds since surgery. I'm doing awesome. I feel great. I still have time-to-time complications with my ear and drainage and hurt a little bit, back there, which is normal. They cut nerves, they cut bone. So now, if you can't see, but if you press behind my ear, let's see if you guys can see this. Let me show you where they cut my ear off. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can see this, but you see the stitch marks through here. Let's see. Can y'all see that? Can y'all see the stitch marks right there? I don't know if you guys can see them really well, but they literally had to cut my ear off, put it to the side, and then reattach it. Both times I had to have the brain and ear surgeries. And anyway, after that happened, here, like I said, here it is 7 months. I'm down 71 pounds. I feel great. Other than, here and there having some drainage, a little bit hurting, things like that. So now the next step will be to try to do a prosthetic implant into my ear to see if I can regain any of my hearing, because I am now considered legally deaf out of that ear. So I only can hear out of my left ear, which that my left ear only has about 70% of hearing in it. Just because, like I said in the beginning, just, time and time again as a kid, having ear infections, sports injuries, things like that, I really lost my hearing out of both ears. So I only have about 65 to 70% left in that left ear, which is my good ear. So, the next step, like I said, is to do the prosthetic implant into the ear to see if I can regain my hearing. If that doesn't work, the next step will be a cochlear implant, which actually goes into the skull, into the back of the nerve, where you hear, to try to bypass the ear canal, so I can actually hear. And if that doesn't work, then I'm not going to ever be able to hear anymore. But that's okay, because I've come a long way. God really pulled me through it. I had some really awesome prayer warriors, that prayed for me, and just people that I never even thought of or never even knew me that would pray for me, and things. And my family had my back. The doctors, I had the most amazing doctors, and that I was blessed with, that I could ever have in my life, to have blessed me, with being my doctors and my physicians. And, it was awesome that they were Christians. They prayed with me before surgery and just different things. And they were awesome. They got me where I am today, and I owe them a big thank you. To them, and they know that I'm forever grateful for what they have done, and all this of the time for their families, and the emergencies that they would have to do just to keep me alive. And they know who they are back here in my hometown in South Carolina. And here in South Carolina, they are just some of the most amazing doctors. And my family was so supportive and everything. And still, like I said, time from time, I still don't feel good some days. Some days are better than others. But I just wanted to share with you this story to let you know that and y'all know by now that there is always a bigger picture that I share with you guys at the end of each video. But the point of this video is to let you know that once again, no matter what you're going through, no matter how hard it may seem, you're always going to get through it, and you're always going to see the light at the end of that tunnel. And that light, like I said, is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger the more forward that you keep going. And I didn't give up on myself. My family didn't give up on myself, and you guys can't either. And I just want to let you know that if nobody else has told you today that you're wonderful, and that they love you, and that they hope the best for you, and they're rooting for you, just always know that you have somebody that you can come talk to, that I can honestly say that I have been there, I have done that, I have, whatever, and actually truly mean it, instead of just saying, oh, I get what you're saying, or yeah, I understand. No, I understand. I've been there. I've been in your shoes. Trust me. And there's going to be a lot of more of these story time videos coming up, so that I can tell you a little bit about me, so y'all can get to know me more. But I love you guys, and I hope you like this video. If you like this video, hit the subscribe. I can't even talk, you guys. See, I'm so excited. But hit the subscribe button down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you guys would like to see next. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.